municipality?
Okay, so the answer to that, timing is basically spelled out in the TIA. It's based on the current traffic, what each development is going to generate, and based on traffic growth. So the TIA has a rough outline. The TIA indicates when Tim Hortons going in, it should function okay, based on future projections and the type of development that's happening. With the full build out, yes, we need an exception upgrade. Timing is all dependent on when this happens. So that's totally up to municipalities. We have nothing to do with that.
Yeah, but Danny, I think in all fairness, the municipality needs to know what that number is.
For what? When timing?
Yeah, the traffic.
I'm not a developer. I can't give a time.
It depends on the phasing and the years and what goes in. Like it does touch to it in the TIA, but it all depends on what's developed and what timing it's developed. Like it could be 5 years from now, it could be 10 years from now, it could be 2 years from now. It all depends on how quickly that area develops.
Hey guys, if you don't mind, if maybe we can jump in here for a sec. Maybe if Ed could, would you be able to speak that, Ed or Jorge, would you guys be able to speak to sort of from the plan perspective based on the TIA that we put together?
Yeah, I mean, I'll let Jorge come in with maybe in a minute with the if he's got some actual numbers, but the key is obviously it's going to be the traffic generated by the development, and it depends each development, depending upon the type of development, depending upon the square footage developed, will generate different traffic volumes. So if we assume, for instance, right now Tim Hortons generates so much traffic per square footage, if the next development is a retail facility, depending on the type of retail, the traffic volumes will differ. If it's a hotel, then again the traffic volume will differ. So it all depends on how the developer decides to stage his development and what businesses he sells to during the time period. There is no saying that the next development for sure will trigger it. It depends on what the next development is. And really, like I say, like Alberta Transportation is saying, at this time, until the developer comes through and says, this is the order in which I'm going to build these developments for sure, we can't give a definite saying at this stage, this is when it'll be triggered. It'll be triggered by when traffic volumes reach this volume. And that will again be dependent upon the type of development that occurs.
And I hear what you're saying, but you hit it right on the nail right on the head. What number is that triggers it?
Jorge, go ahead. Yeah. You're muted, Jorge.
Yeah.
Okay, so we will have to do going backwards, because what happened with the TIA is that the town gave us some assumptions for what would be the full development of the area and what will be included in the full development of the area. And then, like Ed said, we use some a potential land use, and that, depending on the land use that you decide, whether it's like a medical office type of businesses or whatever that you, or if you pick up a hotel or something different, so that will generate some traffic. So we did the generation with our assumptions for the 20-year horizon, and then we find there the need for the type 4 based on the afternoon peak hour, basically. And so then we will have to go backwards to try to find what is the magic number of vehicles generated by the developer, by the development that will be triggered. But it's yeah, I don't know. It could be like I think that is something in the 300 vehicles per day. I'm trying to find it. And the thing is that, but we can find that. We can definitely give you an answer on that one. this point, we don't know what will be developed. And any change on the land use, it change your tree generation immediately. How much traffic you will generate.
Okay, thanks for that. And I don't know if that's I guess what I'm hearing is that there is a set number when you need a T4 and you're using so many vehicles per hour, and it might be 300 vehicles per hour, and that's what I guess Reed Matthews was asking about, is what's that number that triggers an upgrade requirement? Is it 300 vehicles per hour? Is that what I heard?
No, I just said it depends. It's based on the left turn warrants. So it would be a number related to through traffic, the opposite traffic, compared to the left turn traffic that we will get. So I would have to calculate. I don't know. I cannot tell you just like that. Yeah.
Okay, so, but I see Councillor Gilroy's got his hand up.
Hey, when you get a moment, this is Ken. I'd like to get a word in if I can.
Okay, Ken, I will let them know, okay? As soon as Brian's done.
From what I understand, it basically depends on the kind of development and what their clientele would be, like how many would go through there. So if it was a low volume clientele, it probably wouldn't be much. But if it was some kind of gas station or something that had a high volume of turnaround, that would impact it more. That's my understanding. But the question I wanted to ask, 4 years ago when we were talking about this, we were given a couple options by Alberta Transport, and one was originally coming into town. We had an 80 as our speed limit. We moved it down to a 60. At what point do we then move it down to a 50 to offset and make it a safe intersection? So that's my question. At what point would we have to move it down to a 50, the way that a lot of other municipalities have that are along the highway, such as Slave Lake and other ones? When would we have to move down to a 50 to make it safer and also to mitigate some of the extra traffic so that we don't have to go as fast to a T4?
Okay, so as part of the TIA, that was one thing that I did mention to MPE is that they misrepresented it in the TIA and said that it was still at 80. So once they make their adjustments and their calculations and bring that down to 50 or 60 and do their calculations at 60, that will also kind of give you guys more of an idea of when that trigger point and tipping point is. Basically, when they do the TIA, they have a, as part of commercial or industrial or residential or whatever it is that land use is designated as, there's numbers in there that will allow them to make a pretty good idea, like a pretty good guess as to what's going to happen there. So once they kind of look at that, it was, they took a look at the intersection and thought it was a type 4 intersection, and it's not. So that's why this meeting may be a little bit premature. Once we get back to those couple of little tweaks that they had to make to the TIA, I think we'll have a better idea of when intersections will need to be improved, or if they need to be improved, or whatever. Right? Without that additional information, it's kind of a little bit too early to say. Right now we need it, or tomorrow we need it, or 10 years from now we need it. Right?
Excuse me.
Sorry, Marion.
I have Chair Nosti waiting to ask a question via teleconference when we're ready.
Okay, maybe we'll see if Drew wanted to respond to, you're going to get that new assessment into Alberta Transportation, is that correct, or the new TIA?
Yes, and I think that, Brian, that's something we would have to talk to administration about, probably after this meeting here to, discuss the ins and outs of that. But I guess, one of the questions we had was, the
past. We're not, I guess, opposed to any development there in terms of the intersection or contributing to it, but we need to know in advance exactly what our costs are going to be going forward. So those are the questions that I have. Thank you.
Transportation, do you want to address his questions?
Once the TIA is finalized, I believe that that will answer all of the questions that everyone has. So basically that TIA is what's going to tell us what's required. Like they do all the number crunching, all of those lovely diagrams and stuff that they do have, turning templates that Jorge mentioned and stuff. Once all of that is done, it should all address what intersections need improvement, what intersections don't need improvement, lighting, all of that stuff is addressed. And sorry, I was told that I didn't answer, I believe it was Brian's question about bringing it down to 50. If you guys wanted to reduce the speed to 50, that's completely up to you. If you wanted to reduce it that extra 10 kilometers and make it a 50, that's something that council goes through, they do their stuff, send it in to us, and then we'll process it. That's not a transportation directive that forces you to do it.
So Ken, does that answer your question at all?
Yeah, the only question I would have follow-up is the timing of the report, and we would know when, exactly what the conditions would be.
So just so I'm clear, and I might be getting a little confused here because I'm not following this every day, but I know at the last time we met there was a discussion that we had the TIA count. Right now, who's doing the TIA or the traffic count for that area so that we're going? I mean, Drew, you had mentioned that you guys had did it a while back, and that might have been sort of the town doing that, but we're not really the developer. But we were able to get you to do some work to develop that intersection. Who's responsible for doing the TIA now?
At this point, we did the most recent TIA. I believe it was completed almost 2 years ago. We made an original submission to the town back in the day, and then it would have been about a year ago. We had sent it to transportation for comments, and we haven't really just received anything back until now. So the problem here is that yes, we will definitely follow up and make our changes as per as comments. So the ball's in our court when it comes to the TIA.
Okay, is it not normally the developer that does the TIA?
Yeah, I believe in this situation we had an opportunity to go after some funding to complete the TIA, and that was why we went after it the way we did.
Okay, perfect. So the town has helped out the developer at this point in time, and just for my sake of argument, as the next developer comes in, how is the current TIA going to be used, and will the new developer have to develop a new TIA, or will this one carry forward moving into the future?
I can answer that one. Typically, for a TIA, especially in this one, we have we start with the phase 1, with has the Tim Hortons and a gas station and another building, a convenience store, and that was the plan that we were given by to do the TIA, and that's the phase 1, and then we assume something for the future development in agreement with the town, and so basically there is a lot of unknown there of what is going to happen in the future. Typically, when somebody else come back, you could do, depends, you talk to Alberta Transportation, and then you try to figure out if you need to do a full TIA again, or if you are developing within what the TIA was anticipating that kind of sort of thing. If there are changes in the land uses, so there will be changes in the end result, and the TI may need to be done again, typically by the developer.
All right, thank you. So I guess for me as a non-developer person that doesn't know what's required, the first step is we've got a EIA that'll handle the Tim Hortons plus sort of the next steps that they come to. It wouldn't require the, there was a gas bar and I believe a convenience strip mall there with 3 or 4 stores in it. So this TIA would cover those developments, and anything else after that, there would probably need another TIA. And I guess maybe I'll ask transportation from their perspective if that's what would be needed.
Yeah, so basically, if the development occurs as what's in this TIA, it's okay. But if things change, if a gas station doesn't go in and a hotel goes in, yes, a new TIA might be required because it's a different type of development, doing different trip generation. If it develops its gas station as strip mall, as what's laid out now, no further TIAs would be required. But if things change, yes, a new one might be required depending on the development.
Thank you. That's helps explain it for me anyways. Anybody else with questions at this point or comments?
Do we have any questions in Peavine?
No, we don't have any
Okay,
questions
I don't
at
see
this time.
anything more,
Okay,
so
thanks.
I don't know everybody's speech, but what I've heard is, okay, we should be okay with the current approval, pending the updates to the TIA, and MPE is going to work on those and get them in, and we'll talk about some of the details there that Drew had mentioned. We need to chat, but he can work with administration on that. And that TIA should be all right, providing nothing really changes from what's been based on. If things change, we'll need a new TIA. And as those developments come in, we'll have to wait. And I guess the question is, it would depend on which developments come first on whether or not that intersection would have to be upgraded. But if everything came into play that is in that TIA, it does lead to the need to upgrade that intersection. Is that a good summary of where we're at?
Yeah, I'm going to review the Tim Hortons TIA. Like I said, there's a few tweaks that need to be done to clarify some of the accesses and stuff. Once I get the couple of revisions from MPE, I'm sure that TIA will be sufficient for as long as there's no massive new proposed developments, and then everything's fine.
That's great news. Okay, and I guess once, if we get to the point of needing to upgrade the intersection, we go from there. But at this point, we're good to go, which is great news. Maybe High Prairie will get a Tim Hortons after 10 years or more. I don't know how many years. It's coming soon. We don't want to put up any signs until we have an actual Tim Hortons sign put up. Oh, you're rubbing it in, aren't you, Drew, that you got Tim Hortons there?
I do a little bit.
That's a 20% discount, Drew, on your feet.
Jealousy doesn't count.
All right, I'll just throw it open. If anybody has any closing comments or questions before we sign off. All right, well, thanks everybody for joining on, and let's look forward to getting a Tim Hortons up on that corner.
Thank you.
Brian.
an intersection has nothing to do with it now.
Hi, Dean.
Thank you from
This is what I'm
Peavine.
saying.
Yeah, thanks for joining. I'll be sending out a letter here in a bit.
Brian?
Okay, thanks for joining us today.
It's just between you and Cecil.
Dean Pickering and Ken Noski.
You are the last remaining participant.
Clear as mud, Mary?
Yeah, they're nitpicking Drew's current TIA because of a few little errors. That can be cleared up, but should not hold back that roadside development permit. They're being assholes.
But what I also heard there is that transportation didn't respond to the TIA in over a year. They
Yeah,
said that.
they got it in February of 2020.
And they still won't commit to a number of vehicles in that area.
No, they did.
So, well, and then like,
The last one we had,
that was 2017.
yeah, there was, I asked the question too. I hate these things being included.
They're hard to listen to me.
Well, they're hard to listen to when you don't